A single notebook, water-stained and 40 years old, was the only thing standing between the Callahan family business and a foreclosure notice dated 6 days out. Ray Callahan was 43, third-generation machine shop owner, and every supplier on his call list treated him like exactly what his overdue invoices suggested: a man already finished. His daughter Nell was 6. She carried a stitched-up owl named Whistle everywhere, one wing patched twice from years of being dragged along. The bank's asset manager, Curtis Vane, laughed when Ray asked for one more week before the equipment got seized. "You're behind, Callahan. Numbers don't care about history." Ray said nothing. He set the folder of unpaid notices down instead of arguing with it. Whatever Nell had tucked into his hands that morning would turn out to matter more than every number on that desk. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why. The shop floor sat quiet, except for one lathe still running out of habit, dust settling on machines nobody could afford to keep. Curtis stood with a junior appraiser, tapping a clipboard against his palm. "Liquidation starts Friday, whether you're ready or not." Ray didn't answer right away. He turned the notebook Nell had handed him over in his hands, ran his thumb along a cracked leather spine, said nothing back. Not surrender, not panic, just study. Nell sat on an overturned toolbox near the door, Whistle clutched under one arm, watching her father the way she watched him check the porch light every night before locking up. Curtis called the notebook Grandpa's Doodles, said sentiment wouldn't cover payroll, and walked out to his car. Ray gathered the pages carefully, told Nell they'd figure it out together, and carried her home past the dark machines without another word. His wife had been gone 2 years. A machine shop with dwindling contracts didn't leave much room for savings, and some months Ray moved money between 3 accounts just to keep the lights running. Old Sal, a retired toolmaker who'd worked alongside Ray's grandfather decades back, found him at the kitchen table that night. Notebook open, coffee gone cold. "You know what that book actually is, don't you?" Sal said, not a question. Ray didn't answer, just knelt to retie Nell's shoelace where she sat by the stairs, tucked Whistle back into her arms, and said it was past her bedtime. Sal watched him carry her up and said, mostly to the empty kitchen, "Some things skip a generation. Doesn't mean they disappear." By the next morning, Ray had gone through every page, not skimmed, studied, the way his grandfather had once taught him to read a blueprint nobody else could follow. The notebook wasn't sentiment. It was a patent log, handwritten, dated 1979, documenting a fastening mechanism the family shop had designed and quietly licensed out decades ago. A mechanism a much larger company was still using today, under a different name. Curtis wanted the shop cleared out by Friday regardless. Ray wanted the notebook copied and verified first, page by page. "You're out of time for that," Curtis snapped. "I'm not out of time for this," Ray said, and laid the notebook beside the original licensing paperwork he'd pulled from a filing cabinet nobody had opened in years. Machines had a memory to him, the way a face has a memory to some people. He found it in 20 minutes, a signature on the licensing renewal that didn't match his grandfather's handwriting anywhere else in the shop's records. Not a clerical error, a forgery, not one renewal. 3 of them, each timed just before the family would have been owed a payout. He photographed every page before Curtis could dismiss him again, and by then it didn't matter, because the notebook had already done its work. Diane Ashworth arrived by early afternoon, CEO of the manufacturing company that had licensed the mechanism decades ago and never stopped using it. Curtis tried to get ahead of it, calling the notebook an old man's fantasy, insisting the shop's assets were already scheduled for pickup. Ray laid the photographs across his workbench instead, the real signature beside the forged ones, decades apart, the same telling flaw repeating in the same letter. "My grandfather didn't lose that licensing deal because he sold out cheap," he said quietly. "Somebody buried the renewals so he'd never see another check." Sal stepped forward. "I worked beside his grandfather for 15 years, he said to Diane. "I always wondered why the payments stopped. Now I know." Curtis tried one more line about expired contracts and ancient paperwork. Nobody in the shop was looking at him anymore. Diane didn't raise her voice. She turned the photographs over twice, set them down like they were something she didn't want to damage further. "My company built half its reputation on a mechanism we told ourselves we owned outright, she said. You just told me a family never got paid for it. Curtis was let go before he made it out of the parking lot, and nobody walked him out with an apology. Diane turned to Ray. I want to make this right. Full licensing back pay, and a permanent supplier contract with your shop going forward, starting whenever you're ready. Ray looked toward the doorway where Nell stood waiting, whistle hanging from one hand, and said that depended on whether he could still pick her up from school every day at 3. Diane walked over and lowered herself down to Nell's height, knees against the oil-stained concrete, in a coat that cost more than every machine in the shop combined. Your dad found something today that grown-ups missed for 40 years, she said. Nell studied her the way 6-year-olds study things they've already decided are true. My daddy always finds things, she said. He just needed someone to bring him the right one. Diane didn't say anything right away. She just nodded once, stood up, and let the words settle in the shop the way they deserved to. The next morning, Ray knelt on the front step to retie Nell's shoelace, whistle already tucked under her arm, the sky barely gray over the rooftops across the street. Same time tomorrow? She asked. Same time, he said, and took her hand as they started down the sidewalk toward school, her sneakers scuffing the pavement 2 steps behind his.